Hello friends, Catherine here, Conscious Creatrix, CatherineMassell.com. Hello all. I so wanted to be outside today to do this because it's another marvelous day in Lake Tahoe, California, but my neighbors have decided to be very loud. So hi Bonita. So we'll have to do it for, we'll get maybe peripheral outside noises coming in. That's something we'll have to just settle for. And I apologize for my very nasally voice. I'm coming off of a summer cold that just does not want to leave. That's kind of the nature of summer colds. But I'm here. It's now, this is happening. We're talking about the energies for this week of August 4th, 2019. Here's the weekly energy check-in. If you watched an earlier live that I did this week or listened on my podcast or watched on my YouTube channel, and by the way, if you're not a subscriber on my YouTube channel, just go to Catherine Massell on YouTube and subscribe. There are hundreds and hundreds of episodes on there now of anything from all talks about spirituality and ascension and 5D consciousness and moving through this time with more ease and grace to energy activations. There's free workshops on there. So if you're not a subscriber on my YouTube channel, you're really missing out because there's hundreds of things there at this point. And also my podcast. If you like to listen to podcasts, The Abundant Intuitive has hundreds of episodes as well. So please do subscribe. And you want to check out more of what I do, go to CatherineMassell.com, including the new group program. Well, it's not new, but I'm doing another live round of the teaching of my group program starting September 5th, 2019. You can check that out on my website too. Just click on Signature Program. The card is open and I'm taking enrollees in this group program now. So I did a live talk earlier this week on Facebook, which I posted in my podcast, and I posted it on YouTube. And I was talking about how these August energies are stabilizing, which is really good news. But I want to talk a little bit more about what happens when these ascension energies do stabilize. What does that look like for us? Better yet, what does that feel like for us? Because it's all about the feeling. It's all about the feeling. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And even though we're in a time of where the dust is settling a little bit, because the last 6 weeks have been extremely intense, and the dust is settling with the stabilization of energies, but this is a time to really be even more considerate and loving and helpful and understanding and compassionate with other people, because not everyone that you come across is going to be as understanding of this path of ascension as you are. There are a lot of people out there who are just not savvy to this stuff. They don't know about it, they're not conscious of it, they don't care about it, they don't believe in it. But whether you're conscious of this process of ascension or not, we are all going through an up level. We are all going through a period of elevating our consciousness. This is going to affect people in many, many different ways. And to the degree we're conscious of it or not, we're going to have some problems with assimilating or accommodating these new energies, this new landscape that is unfolding for all of us, every single human being on this planet. Some of us are embracing it, some of us are repelling it. And it's a time to really be more loving and compassionate with others as they go through these changes. And as their landscape, their personal landscape of their whole way of being changes, it's a time for us to be really compassionate of others and be really understanding and not get so hurt by our egos when people lash out or say things that might hurt us deeply. It's not really coming from a place where it's about you at all. It's about them and about them going through a process of trying to understand what's going on. And it's very difficult for some people right now. I'm just going to refresh my page so I can see comments. For some reason I can't see them on my phone. So if you didn't check out the live I did earlier this week, I talked about how, yes, the last 6 weeks, maybe even closer to 2 months for some people, has been really intense. The energies have been like keeping us in this kind of whirlwind way of being where we're feeling one thing in one moment, then next thing we feel something completely different. Everything keeps changing and shifting. Now we're coming into a period of stabilization, and this is wonderful news for many of us. But what happens during a period of stabilization, when we're going through these massive waves of ascension energies, when things kind of stabilize, it stops going like having big ups and downs in the frequency and starts having like lower waves of frequency where it's a little more gradual, a little more easy to adjust to these energies, which is what's happening right now. What happens is we kind of pull back our scope of perception a little bit and we see the lay of the land. So the dust has settled and we're able to kind of see things in this new elevated consciousness because we've all up-leveled over the last 6 weeks, every single one of us. To the degree you're conscious of it or not is a totally different live talk, but we have all up-leveled. So for some of us who are very savvy about our spiritual and human awakening journey, we kind of can see things that maybe we've been looking for, clues that let us know, okay, I've up-leveled through that. You know, maybe an old story of you has faded away, a new way of being has come to pass for you where you've stepped into it in a very aware way and you're ready for this change. But there's a lot of people on the planet who don't realize they have up-leveled. And so when we're in this place, whether you're conscious of this up-leveling or not, we're all in the same place where we're viewing the landscape of our whole way of being now in a different light. We're literally viewing it with a new set of eyes. A new frequency is informing our scope of perception. So what looked similar to us, familiar to us, known to us before, now kind of is infused with this strange beauty. Okay, and when I say strange beauty, I mean that there's something kind of beautiful and sparkly about it and promising about it, something expansive and promising about it. Even if we can't articulate what it is or we can't put our finger on it, there's this strangeness about it, but it feels somehow, even though not familiar to us, a little bit comforting. And this kind of promise fills our whole being, literally is informing every cell in our body as we've lightened our crystalline structures of our body even more in this last stage of up-leveling. We're viewing this kind of strange beauty and it's becoming, in a weird way, in a way we can't articulate really, kind of familiar to us. And what we're going through is a process of remembering. We've stripped away, through this last kind of tsunami wave of energy, a lot of the things that were the overlay of our ego scope of perception that were keeping us from our soul level of expression, our soul level of being, and being able to be in the divine perspective of that soul level of being. A lot of that has been stripped away. So this kind of strange beauty is emerging for us where we feel at home a little bit with these energies, and that may not feel that way for everybody. You're going to feel at home to the degree that you've been showing up and doing the work, that you've been engaging with these energies in a very, not combative way, but in a very willing way to want to know more. You've been engaging with these energies, even the tsunami wave of energies that has hit the planet, you've been engaging with them in a way where you have a sense of wonder, where you have a sense of innocence, like, God, I wonder what's next. Even having that basic level of playfulness will allow you to see the landscape of your life now with a different set of eyes, with a pair of fresh eyes and a whole new, fresh, energetic perspective. Literally a new energetic perspective, because you have up-leveled. You have raised your frequency. We all have on the planet. But that's not always going to hit every single person on this planet in the same way. If you're pretty savvy about this process of ascension, and you know what these energies can do for you or they don't do for you, you're going to find this period of time a little more graceful than someone who's not aware of this process of ascension at all. And they're going to still be viewing their life through a different set of eyes, through this fresh and upgraded energetic perspective, but they're not going to know what the hell to do with it. This is going to confuse the crap out of a lot of people on this planet, who either are consciously refusing to awaken or are resisting this process to some degree that they just don't know what's happening. Their lives are going to be very unfamiliar, and this is going to throw people off kilter. So how this is going to shake out in the human collective is that you're going to see a lot of things that are still holding on to this old frequency and way of being. Even though these timelines are collapsing, there are some things that are very rigid, very strong, and so held by the energy in the human collective that certain timelines or paradigms of power take a long time to dissolve. And that's going to have a lot to do with politics, religion, and medicine. Okay? So This is going to really impact the planet in a very interesting way in terms of we're going to feel this paradox of life on Earth now in a more profound and contrasted way. Because a lot of people who don't understand this process of 3D or 5D ascension, their 3D experience is going to clash, meaning their local and linear idea of time and who they are and their lives in general and the way the planet is in general. This local linear perspective that they have is going to clash very strongly and be in conflict with this new non-linear 5D experience that's coming in. And they're going to want to fight it. And how we fight that and how that's going to show up in the collective for those people who are not wanting to awaken or are unconscious of what it means to awaken, they're going to keep those old paradigms of power alive that are the strongest ones on the planet. And those are the three that I mentioned. There are others, but the big three, politics, religion, and medicine, are going to affect people in a lot of ways. So politics, we already see how that's shaking out. I'm not going to make this a political broadcast. That's not what I do. But we already know what's happening, okay? We already see this clashing in major, major ways. Religion, a lot of paradigms are falling away around that. There's a lot of excavation of information that's coming up around religions and around kind of the false sense of power that has been instilled over thousands of years. There's a lot of stuff unraveling around that. Pay attention. You're going to see more of it if you're interested in that. Medicine. This is going to have a lot to do with the people who are not awake or not wanting to awaken, aren't on board with this process of becoming more. They're resisting it. They feel afraid. They feel scared. They're kind of running for the hills. What they're going to resort to is medicine, okay? 70% of the people on this planet have prescription medications, okay? That's a very, very high number, okay? And it could be for any number of things, but especially here in the United States, people are overprescribed, people are heavily prescribed. There's going to be this kind of last gasp of energy to hold on to this timeline, especially around medicine, where to reckon with this loss of our 3D experience, where we categorize, compartmentalize, place order to, or label everything. 5D experience doesn't really hold that energy, okay? That is far too rigid, and the rules of 5D play out differently than the rules of 3D, where we want to label, compartmentalize, and categorize everything. So we are in an age of overdiagnosing, misdiagnosing. This is not a coincidence. As these paradigms fall away and we start to lose these layers of false conditioning, the false self, this is falling away. We're starting to question, who am I? And when we feel that panic, that crisis, that conflict in the body only responds in kind. And so we have these symptoms that crop up. And I'm not talking about just ascension symptoms. I'm talking about the symptoms of the loss of ego. When we grieve for the loss of self, or the loss of what is familiar, what is known, our story, all of that, we have symptoms that manifest in the body. And the natural tendency for us as humans is to want to treat those symptoms with some sort of outer remedy. This leads to misdiagnosing. This leads to overdiagnosing. This leads to prescribing. This leads to overprescribing. This leads to people seeking out more forms of therapy, okay? When they don't understand often that the inner reality needs to be excavated, re-examined, and recreated in order to move along with these timelines of 5D reality. It's just not something a lot of people understand. And people are going to go into crisis. You're going to experience more anger crop up as a result of this timeline falling away. You're going to experience more confusion, more overwhelm, people acting out of character. You saying, oh, you know what? Deborah seems really weird this week. What is going on with her? She's trying to figure her shit out, just like everybody else. So it's not going to be that you have to go into the disconnect of that. Find the similarity with the person that you are face to face with, where you feel like, that person's really, they feel off. Well, so are you to a certain degree. So resist the need to judge and separate that person out from you, and instead find the commonality. Like, oh, I think she's going through this too. And it's not like you have to coach somebody or diagnose somebody. All you have to do is be compassionate and be understanding. And if someone lashes out, if someone is just not, in more than just confusion and overwhelm and they feel withdrawn from you, there's also going to be people who are going to be angry. There's people who are going to be lashing out. There's people who are going to say things that are out of character for them. And that's going to, from your ego perspective, that's keeping you in 3D, by the way, because you haven't transcended that fully yet, you're going to be hurt by that. And you're going to want to see that person as separate. You're going to want to judge all those things that are associated with 3D mentality and way of being. Resist the urge to do that. Take a beat. Take a breath. And just go into your heart and just have compassion for that person. And just say, it's okay. I understand. You don't have to say anything more than that. You don't have to do anything more than that. Just be in a place of letting them have their space to figure their shit out, because it's going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people. It's going to be uncomfortable for you, okay? So that covered two of the things that I want to talk about: the stabilization, seeing the lay of the land, and also how this is affecting some people on the planet who are a little more awake, a little more aware of this process of ascension, and some who are not. There's going to be some polarizing energies here. Resist the urge to go into the duality. Resist the urge to go into the polarization. Resist the urge to go into, I'm right, they're wrong. I know more than they do about ascension. No. You're missing the point. You need to be more compassionate, or it will greatly benefit you and all of humanity and everyone involved if you are more compassionate. Okay. This is also an incredibly fertile time for your creativity. So some of you are already noticing a real uptick in your intuition. The messages that are coming to you during dream time are that much more profound. Maybe they're clearer. Maybe there's a lot of more lucid dreaming. Maybe some of you are astral traveling. Hey, whatever. But there is a really fertile time here, this window of incredibly rich creativity and imagination. Now, that being said, our humanness and this race to do all the things may put us in a place where we feel like we have to tackle every single one of these creative impulses and see how they play out. Well, my recommendation for you at this time is that maybe you can take this into the body. Whatever, let's just say you get a message during dream time to write this book or start this creative project, or do something that maybe feels totally brand new to you, hasn't even been percolating within you. It's something that literally came to you in a dream and you felt like, I gotta do this. Give yourself a second. A lot of what's coming up is past life reviews, okay? Because as we move out of and into a different timeline and way of experiencing life, literally having a whole new landscape and way of being, we go through a process of review. This can't be helped. So a lot of what's coming up, that creativity, may be something you pursued in a different lifetime. It may be something that your mind in its creativity and this flow, this fount of creativity that is flowing, is showing you something that's a possibility. It doesn't mean you have to do it. It doesn't mean that this is going to play out in the highest and best way for you and all involved. Now, this is a time as you're getting these creative, these tremendously creative impulses and this flow of imagination coming in new waves, because our imagination is up-leveling too. So we're imagining things now that we couldn't imagine even a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, which is incredible to think about and really fascinating. So your imagination is going through this up-level. And as it's doing that, it's reviewing a lot of things. It's reviewing a lot of different potentials. It's reviewing a lot of different possibilities. It doesn't mean that as humans we have to act on all the things. This is a time to take it into the body and say, what is best for me now? And really think about, give it a think. If this thing that I feel an impulse to creatively pursue, is this going to serve me 3 years from now, 5 years from now? What am I going to do with it? What would be the next step? Because often when we get swept up into the wave of creative impulse and we want to start something right away, the best thing we can do is say, well, if I was to do this, then what would be the next step after that? A good indication for you maybe not to do it would be, I can't even think of the next step. I can't even think of where I would take this. That imagination, or that level of imagination, isn't open to me yet. And that's fine, because this creative impulse, hey, if it sticks around and it becomes part of your your way of thinking going forward. It could be something that's percolating and incubating over the next 6 months, over the next year. And that next step might become apparent to you then. So don't feel you have to do all the things now. And this is advice especially for me. As a Capricorn, I want to do all the things. I got to be number one. I got to be first. I got to do all the things. I don't. So this is a great time for me to really embody this lesson and bring it home for myself. So others out there who are having this kind of intuitive hit and kind of get what I'm saying, this message is for you also. I mentioned everyone needs a little extra TLC right now, okay? Resist the urge to go into ego and feel hurt and feel disconnected from others. Some other person's withdrawal from you really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their reckoning of where they are at their place in time in the midst of this new landscape they find themselves in. Okay, so it's a time to really honor. I know that sounds cheesy, but to honor people's journey, honor where they're at, and give them their space. The best thing you can do is just let people know, like, hey, I'm here if you want to talk about it, because I'm going through this too. And so is everyone else on the planet, by the way. We all think we're alone in this. We're not at all. It's the ego separation that makes us feel separate. We are not ever separate. So the more we come together and share things like this, the more we add to each other's awakening and elevated consciousness. The more we share, the more we come together as a human community. Share our gifts, share our knowledge from our journey with others, only if they ask for it, okay? Only if others ask for it. So that feeling of disconnect that we're feeling, it's because we're all leveled up energetically right now. And we're all trying to understand how we make this all fit. And a lot of people are still going to try to grapple with using the old pieces of their life and make them fit into this new landscape, and it's not going to work, and this is going to be frustrating for a lot of people. You're going to see a lot of people just being frustrated and kind of at the end of their emotional tether. Give them the space, let them know you're there for them, and then leave it at that. So I think that's everything I wanted to mention for this week. It's a lot, as always, to digest, and there's a lot more happening, but these are nice pieces of the puzzle that have come in through my own intuitive guidance, that these are the most important things for us to kind of reconcile ourselves with right now, that are the most important for our human growth. There are a lot of other things happening. I'm sure a lot of you are also very intuitively savvy and very checked in, have your finger on the pulse of all the influences hitting the planet right now. There's other things going on. But I like to come in and serve you in the way that this is the stuff that's really going to help your process of growth and expansion the most now. If you are interested in my live group program, which starts on September 5th, please click on this link right here and check it out. I'm going to leave this right here. The cart is open now for this program. If you are interested, the details of the program are in that link, and your link to sign up and secure your spot in the program is there as well. If you have questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. You can reach out to me in my email, contact@catherineMassel.com. I want to wish you guys an absolutely beautiful week of growth and expansion and grace and flow. Love and peace.